Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath, and we evolve together through conversation, communication, pop culture, and evaluation. So, let's get into it. I was watching No Jumper, the sharpest, coolest podcast, right? With Sharp from No Jumper. Now, let me give you a little background. Sharp was and is a pimp. I don't know if he's retired, but he is a pimp who was first spotted on Soft White Underbelly, though he has won like Pimp of the Year and all the rest of it. And you're like, Monette, we're going to talk about pimp words and pimp etymology and pimp conversation. Church, as Sharp would say. Yes, indeed, we are. Because as I like to say, God does not care who he espouses his wisdom through. It will come through a mule. It will come through a rock. It will come through, you know, your whoever that you would rather it not, but if it's wisdom, it's wisdom. And he said something, I couldn't fit the quote in because it's alive, so I will update it once we post officially. But he says, if you haven't done anything to grow in the last 5 years, then what am I going to be able to do to get you to grow in the next 20? Empath, this message is specifically for you. My bleeding heart, divine feminines, it's for you too. We spend a lot of our time making people, helping people, forcing people to change and grow. Meanwhile, back at the farm, we're doing everything we can to evolve in every kind of way, from continuous education to learning to meditating to investing in crystals to taking Reiki courses to reading to watching videos to studying to going to retreats to being at the sea to meditating to putting out moon water to girl, you name it. We do it. We are always growing and evolving. But in a narcissistic and empath dynamic, you'll spend a lot of time, especially with these covert narcs, like trying to get them to like see their worth and see their value. And all they're doing is energy vampirism off of you. When Sharp said that, I said, man, if this man doesn't tell the truth and shame the devil, I don't care what his profession, quote unquote, has been, pimp of the year, whether you consider it him a foe or a sinner. What I will tell you is church. He calls what his words are church, but Sharp is always cooking somebody's dinner. And what I mean by that is he's always kind of really espousing great wisdom. And if you like Mark, from Soft White Underbelly, if you guys watch that, it's one of my favorite things because I love to really see the underbelly of society, what it was named after, but the fact, what I believe in is but the grace of God, but for the grace of God go any of us, right? We all could be homeless, we all could be turning tricks, we all could be doing things. And you say, no, that wouldn't be me. And I imagine a lot of them thought the same. It wouldn't be them too, but reality brought them something different. So I always study from an anthropological perspective the way that we can deviate off whatever path God gave us, or the way that our abuse, specifically for my empath fam out there, can cause us to do something that is untrue to our soul and our moral code. In any case, I love that show. It's on YouTube. I would highly advise you go check it out. But there are multiple interviews with Sharp, and he is so good and so charismatic and so captivating. And yes, he won several times official awards in his own station and in his own world. Pimp of the Year, Real Talk, like the Pimp Ball, the Players Ball, the whole thing. And I know I said that a couple times, but here's why I say that. Because in my world, my work is unconventional. And so when I won awards and when I got accolades, it was something that I had to grind for. Nobody in my life, nobody on my Facebook, nobody on my social medias knew exactly what I did at all. For all they knew, I had a professor that would joke with me. I'd be like, "Oh, I'm busy. I have to have some clients." And she was like, "What kind of sketchy life are you up to, Monette?" She was joking with me. It's my favorite professor. But she was like, "You make money, you have clients. What are you doing?" But because of some of the indemnity clauses that I signed, I couldn't really espouse that I freelance for the best sites in the country and that I was one of the best. So to be validated by my peers at some point was something that was impressive for me, but I worked my ass off quietly for it. And that's why I think that I really respect Sharp, believe it or not, for what he has done, because he has his own moral code, whether you agree with him or not, on how he handles women and whatever else. I don't care if you detest it, if you're a full feminist. I find value in every single human, shadow side and light side, and he just ascribes to the shadow side, but the light too. It's a very weird juxtaposition, and I'm fascinated by him, and he is fascinating, so fascinating that he had several interviews. Now, what I was saying about the accolades is that I really love a hustler, and he is quite that, literally in every sense. But what I love is somebody who doesn't ride the fence. He does have a moral code. If you listen to him, it is really interesting. He does come down hard left or right on things. And beyond that, what I liked is that he worked quietly and hustled and did whatever he needed to do to win actual awards in his own culture, to get degrees, if you will, quote unquote. And I respect that because I've done it myself. No one knows exactly who I am or what I do, but I come here and I share some candid energy with some of you, a very few of you, and many more to come, I suppose. But it's not because I was out in the sun opening like a rose. Nobody understood. I definitely was a flower that grew from the concrete. And until they see me now, they're like, oh, it's overnight success. No. People that hustle work quietly. Message. There's a couple of messages here. So let's get back to what it means for your empathic nature. You cannot change somebody. They have to want to work for it themselves. They have to want to do the thing themselves. And I remember spending so much time with many people that just wanted to just suck my energy, take my good advice, take my time, take my bad advice. It's not always good, y'all. You know, it comes and goes. No, but I've definitely honed my skill set there. So they wanted to take what they could from me, but they didn't want to change their life. They loved who they were. And then they wanted to point fingers at me and project on me. You guys have been subject to the same if you clicked on this video. How many people's pain have you tried to save them from? How many times have you tried to let people see the light that shined from within them when they didn't give a fuck? Not one single care about how they could actually stay there in the light. They wanted to be in the darkness. It reminds me of that song by Garbage. I'm only happy when it rains. I'm only happy when it's complicated. That is what you were dealing with, were people that only wanted it to be the worst it could be and would fuck it up. As Funky Dineva, another YouTuber here, says, fuck up the church's money, okay? And that is to be said when there is someone embezzling and or taking and or siphoning money that a collective puts in. You are the collective empath, okay? You are the collective divine feminine. You are putting into a person, maybe you're masculine, maybe a friend, maybe a parent, maybe family, maybe a bestie, and they were just sucking your energy and they were fucking up the church's money. You are the money. You are the energy. Money is an energy currency. It's an exchange. That's why we pay for things, because we're exchanging. So what are you giving them and what are they taking from you? Then they're like, stick around for another 20 years to see what maybe can happen. Let's see what we can do. Bullshit. I call quits on that for you today. A lot of cursing is coming your way. Someone here needs to hear this. Massive attack is what I just heard. Massive attack. You have been under a massive attack, and it's time for you to take your power back. You have been under a blackout. You have had people playing games. Poltergeist, they're back. Bullshit. You are the demon slayer. You are the narcissist slayer. You are the family rejecter. You are no longer dealing with the naysayers. Sharp never told a lie. Sharpest, coolest podcast, right? It's on No Jumper. No Jumper is another network here on YouTube. About 5 million subscribers plus, I do believe. But it definitely has gone up when Sharp got there. He was hired by Adam, who runs No Jumper, because he saw him so many times on Soft White Underbelly. Another message for someone here who was getting it from the bottom. Now they're here or getting it from a scraggly position. If you are excellent in whatever you do, if you show up and you are authentically you, no one can call into question what you deserve and what you should be given. I also relate to that. For some reason, it has been my journey. I showed up integrally. I ground away day after day, and then some, eventually the executives came out to play and other people came out to play, and now it's gone past executives and it's gone past the structure, and it has gone globally for me to have beautiful connections and wonderful synergy and hands that are helping and lifting me up and people that are energetically pouring into my cup. But it's because I didn't waver in my authenticity. authenticity. The reason that Sharp got the job at No Jumper and could deviate from his path, what we would previously say would be not acceptable, quote unquote, to society, though he was a massive success in his sect of society, in the soft white underbelly, is because he showed up in excellence, even in his initial interviews, because there was a humanity that's perceptible. And he and Mark are friends now. It's so funny. There was a full circle moment recently where Sharp interviewed Mark, the creator and founder of Soft White Underbelly, on his podcast. No Jumper sponsors the Sharp Tank is what it's called. So it was a full circle moment. I started watching Sharp years ago and was like enthralled. Who is this guy? I totally get why he's a pimp. I totally get why people gravitate to him. He was charismatic, attractive. It was like if the devil wears Prada, it was him, but in the male version. And I thought, wow, does he sin? What is this? And then because he showed up and was so eloquent, so intelligent, so articulate, so special in his own weird way that would not be conventional for anybody to really say, he got asked back time after time, and he was integral in his work ethic. He showed up. And he showed up on time. And then when he didn't show up on time, he had his reasons, and they talked about it. But he consistently built a relationship with Mark. And that relationship was observed by other people in the industry. And they said, we can market him. But he said, no, I'll market me. I love to see it. He didn't sign a quote unquote contract. He negotiated his fees himself because he understood his worth, because he had been deeming other people's worth. It's very interesting, the trajectory. I love a dark shadow story like that because it's fascinating to see. So when he interviewed Mark from Soft White Underbelly, and you could see their camaraderie, their brotherhood, the synergy, they are soulmates. That's what I want to say to those of you that are studying astrology and zodiac signs and studying our twin flames and our soulmates and what that means. It's not always romantic. Sometimes it's very platonic. But these two were attracted to each other energetically, gravitated to one another. And initially, Sharp was paid a minuscule fee to do an interview. And essentially for him, it's for free because he was used to millions of dollars passing through his hands. And it catapults him into a different space and a different trajectory and in a different land. And he is able to offer wisdom to people that would normally not stand it coming out of the mouth of certain patriarchy. It's an incredible thing to see. Don't waver in who you are called to be. Maybe he was called to be a pimp. Who are we to say? But he was not called to be a simp. We know that every day. What he was called to do was to elevate a few and then maybe many. Sharp Tank, coolest podcast on No Jumper to me. But the story is the relationship between Mark and he from Soft White Underbelly. And the real story for anybody out here who has a hustle in their spirit, who is a grinder, and it is clear and the world can hear it, is to work integrally, show up every day, do not waver, stay the same way in your work ethic is what I mean. Evolve if you have to. Change up your dribble. Practice. You need to be Kobe. Black Mamba energy. You need to show up before everybody, working out a new thing and talking about it again and figuring out a new angle and shoot it again and shoot it again and shoot it again. Outwork everybody, because one day you will write your own ticket. You will create your own price. You will not have to negotiate with people that aren't nice, that want to keep you downtrodden and beholden to them when you are the uplifter and the leader of men. Come on, that's a word. That's not from me, that's through me. That's from my angels to you. I watched in so many people's lives what the Spirit of God will do. And believe it or not, this pimp believes in God. What the Spirit of God will do. I watched how we can be imbued with excellence. And I don't care if you think that you are just a this or just a that, and no one is ever going to pay attention because you're too tall or too skinny or too fat. Maybe you're too white or too black. Maybe you haven't said enough, done enough. Maybe you're worried about your educational level. Maybe you have too much education. Maybe you come from the right track too much or the wrong track. I don't care about any of that, and neither does the world that's waiting for you. What does Deepak Chopra say? There are people waiting for who you are becoming. You show up every day, and I promise you, the universe will pluck you out and said, it's you. We've been waiting for you. It's so good. I love that full story. Now, back to you and the allegory I came here to share. Those energy vampires, those narcissists, those covert narcissists, those whining, mealy mouth people with no backbones that need to gang up in groups because they can't answer their own questions and they have no integrity. They have no foresight or vision to see. They need you. You never needed thee. And you are not going to get them to change in 20 years when you couldn't get them to in 5 or 6 or 10 or 20. How much did you already invest? It's a bad investment. My favorite thing to say to you here is divest. I've got 20 minutes and I've got new clients. I've got new synapses to fire. I've got new problems to figure out. But I needed to stop here for a few minutes to shout this out to you, my empath and my divine feminine. No more. They're not going to be any different. They don't care about evolving. They don't care about real change. They only care about you commiserating in their pain. And you guys have shed skins. You've altered your DNA. You are no longer the same somebody that used to carry their burdens so happily just so that you could receive validation and a pat on the back. Am I talking to you? Because I'm talking to me. The small, meager payout you received was never compensation enough. Show up integrally every day and let the universe fill your cup. Block them now, today, yesterday. Push away from the table quietly. I'm a little too busy. It's true. Create time for the people that create time for you. And if the only time those people create time for you is to help you or to reach out to you, to have you discern a problem, then they are not real friends. They just want you to be around to solve them, their problems. They are their problem. How many of us have worked through things quietly, painfully, and by ourselves? After the last year that I went through, I know all too well what a dark night of the soul really is. I thought it was about love and friendship and sadness. BS. Bullshit. It was about knowing, can I pick myself up by myself with only the power of God around me? A lot of us under the sound of my voice today have done the exact same thing. There have been times in our life when none of those people that were sucking our energy were there to help us. When we were in full despair, in full depression, in full dysfunction, in full divorce, in full loss of parents, children, family, in full loss of our favorite pet. It was just us. None of those people there were around to help us lift that weight. We were Atlas when he shrugged, and the weight was great. That's how I know you're capable of more. And your more is not to be laying on the floor, to be a doormat for people that will never adore or adulate your spirit or have adulation for what you give them so deeply, so preciously, so freely. Value yourself, empath, and remove yourself expeditiously. Y'all know what I was going to say. Remove yourself expeditiously. You are incredible value. I don't think you realize how valuable your time is. And I know you don't because I didn't. And I know that we share so many similarities. My babies, my empath, my divine feminines, my earth angels. You are amazing. You give great advice. You are a friend that anyone would envy and want for life. But you're not going to get them to be different if they only want you to transmute their pain and strife. And they want to stay fully entrenched in the misery that they have claimed as their life. And so it is. Misery loves company, and you are on to do your biz. You do not have time to commiserate with whiny, immature, petulant kids, unless they're actually born from you and you're helping them grow up too. That's one thing, but not these adults that want to suckle at your breast. Get out of here. Next, ladies and gentlemen, what's next? You can't change them. You can't rearrange them. And only God knows best. Leave them in the mud. Leave them over there depressed. I know it sounds really coarse. It sounds really harsh. But that's how you start to get to your yes. Something I want you to hear, empath and people pleasers here. My fellow people pleasers, yeah. Are you with me? I'm talking to me too. I'm raising my hand. I certainly have a lot of that I've done in my life. I will tell you this. Whether you are too nice, they're talking shit about you. She has no backbone. She's ridiculous. Like it's so sad. She's such a people pleaser. And when you cuss their ass the fuck out, they're talking shit about you too. She was so harsh. She was so mean. She accosted me. How could she? You're not gonna win with energy vampires and narcissists. They just want to use you. Message. It doesn't matter which way you go. You can be soft and they can treat you like they're hoe, yeah? Or you can be hard and they can know you're not the one to mess with. Don't poke the bear. Tread lightly over here. You want to act like snakes? Then understand that I operate under the auspice of the great I am. Amen? You don't win with some people. You will get respect from some people when you assert yourself, and they'll be sad and hurt and want to lick their wounds. But how many wounds did they inflict on you? Come on, man. I got to talk to you guys today. How many wounds did someone inflict on you, but wouldn't lift a finger to help you when you were wounded? There is nothing else that I have to say. Get really real with yourself and don't linger another day. I want to shout out to Sharp, though he will never hear this. Coolest, sharpest podcast on the Sharp Tank. It's been brilliant to watch. I can't even call it a glow up. He was already glowing, but now I think he's evolving. And that's something I'm interested in knowing. Anyway, for those of you guys that are new here, thank you so much. I am a professional intuitive empath, and today that's what we do here. It's not always easy. It's sometimes a little greasy. It's not always filled with lack of profanity. Sometimes it's infused with profanity, and today it was that. Because as one of my favorite English professors told me many years ago, sometimes the vulgarity of the situation calls for the language. You have had vulgar people around you siphoning your energy. Fuck them. It's appropriate. I love you guys so much. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together. Happy Saturday, Kesala.